welcome back. We are now home from Chelsea and I have got my beautiful Emma Bridgewater rose here ready to go into the garden. I've also been mowing today and what would normally take me about an hour took me much longer because I got quite distracted and I started plucking out foxgloves and alliums and other things that just needed editing here and there in the garden, which is really important to start doing right now. The foxgloves are just incredible, but there are quite a lot here at the moment. So why not pick a few and bring them in to enjoy? Well, it's the beginning of June and the garden is just incredible. I'm devouring it at the moment and I've been out in some of the evenings and just enjoying it for what it is right now. It's amazing. There are just 3 things I'm going to go through today in the garden with you. The first thing will be to plant this absolutely beautiful rose. It smells incredible as well. The second thing I'm going to go through with you are planting up the Acidantheras. If you remember, I showed you the beautiful narcissus that I've got in the wall just over there, underplanted with the muscari. Well, now's a good time. I probably could have planted these a few weeks ago, but by leaving them a bit later means they flower later. So I'll show you planting these. And the third thing is something it took me many years to get my head around, and that is the Chelsea chop. And by doing that on only certain perennials means that it prevents them from flopping and also will give them a much longer life in the garden. So they'll flower later, and I'll go through all of that with you as well. But first, time to plant the rose. Follow me. I think we'll go this way. Now we've already got a Gertrude Jekyll positioned here, and I think I've always fancied another soft pink, but this one fades to a nice peachy colour as well, which I think would sit beautifully right here. Now before planting any roses, the best thing to do is to soak the rose for a good couple of hours, give it a really good drink. And the second thing is to make sure it's very well deadheaded as well, and you're just left with nice fresh shoots. And Tom has very kindly dug me a hole ready. Come on. Just to quickly show you the hole, it's slightly bigger than the pot and a little bit, not by much, but a little bit deeper than required for the size of the pot as well. We've also dug out a few plants in here. So we've got some echinops that we needed to push back to give the rose some space. So you can see there's a nice bit of space around the rose to give it a good chance to really get going. Now just gently take it out of the pot. And that root system's looking very healthy. Take this off. And then I'm going to make a decision on which way round the rose is going to look best, and hopefully not get attacked by any bees or any digitalis. Okay. Now what we want is this, obviously to show off the flowers and to sit where it's going to look best. Let's have a look at that. Oh, that's perfect. Yes. Normally, when we've been planting roses here, we tend to prefer to plant them bare root in the autumn, early spring. But planting from a pot is just as good, but I tend to stop planting most things in the garden in pots at this time of year because having such a dry summer ahead possibly. It means lots and lots and lots of watering. So any new plants in a garden this size, I could be all over the place unnecessarily. But on this occasion, this is going in. It's better in the ground than in a pot. And I think it's going to look absolutely beautiful. So we'll get that filled in and start admiring it. Right, I've given that 2 of these filled. I'm going to let that have a good drink. Now, moving on to the next job. This way. How much has this greened up? Incredible. It's also quite bushy as well. I think it needs trim. Hint, hint, Tom. Now, if you remember, all of these Narcissus and Muscari that are in here, I'm not going to cut them back just yet, but what I am going to do is I'm going to get these Acidantheras in, because now is a great time to be planting them for that later show. Now, these won't flower until probably, I would say, August, mid-August, and then they will just continue flowering right up until end of September maybe. And they look great because they come right up here, and because I pack them in, they almost support each other as well, which is ideal. And all I'm going to need is this dibber to get them in. Now what I'm going to do is quite simply throw them in. Once I've done all of them, I'll just check and see if they look fairly evenly spaced, and then all I'm going to do is dip in the soil. They only need to go in about that deep, which is about twice the size of the bulb. Here's your bulb, and you can see the little fuzzy end here. That is the bit that goes to the bottom, and the pointy bit to the top. The ground here is pretty soft anyway, so it's very, very easy to plant these. I can sometimes even poke my finger in and push them in as well. And then what I'm going to do, once I've got them all in, is I'm just going to give this a little top up of just some peat-free compost really. And then I would probably say in another few weeks, I will start to cut these right back once they've gone. I need them to go a little bit browner than this. Right, they're all in now, and I really can't wait to see these flowering in the coming weeks. Now, you may not be able to get hold of any Acidantheras now, which are in the Gladioli family, but what you probably can get hold of now are Gladioli, which will work equally as well in this situation here. So I hope you can get hold of some, because it would just give a beautiful later display when we need it. Right, next thing I'm going to show you is the Chelsea chop, and the plants I'm going to demonstrate them on are Phlox, Nepeta, Sedum, and I've got an Achilleas as well. I think I'll start with the Phlox, and there's one just there, and I'll quickly show you. So in this border, we've got this plant here, and this is a white flowering Phlox. And that will probably start flowering in the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks time. And by giving it the Chelsea chop, you're going to delay that flowering by another month or so, which will be great because it will just give you a later flower. And also, you will also find, if I come in here, by cutting it by about here, it'll stop the plant from potentially flopping. This one actually doesn't, but some of the slightly taller varieties might just do that. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can use secateurs that I have with me, or shears. Now, shears makes a quicker job of it actually. And they will sulk. They'll probably sulk for a couple of weeks, but don't worry about that. They will come bouncing right back. They'll be absolutely fine. Now, because I've got a clump of 3 here, I'm going to show you a little trick that someone taught me. And what I'm going to do is, if I make a dividing line just here and only chop the front ones so that I can get some flowers in the next few weeks at the back, and by chopping the front ones, once they're over, I'll then get a second one in front. And that kind of makes me feel better because I'm getting the best of both worlds. Now, you can do the whole lot if you want to and be totally brave, or you can do what I'm going to do and this. Ooh, it'll be fine, I promise, I promise. Now you can see here I've got a nice level, and then these are going to flower fairly soon, and then these will just come up and hide those dead flowers, or you can deadhead them, and then you'll have that perfect situation of succession, which I love. The next one is the Sedum, and there's one just on the other side of the hedge here. Follow me. Here's a perfect example of a Sedum here that's just starting to get a bit of a gap in the middle, and that's exactly what we do not want. And they have a tendency of doing this, which is quite annoying and not very good for the plant either. So I won't be doing a half and half on this one. This one's getting the full Chelsea chop, and I'm actually going to cut this back by half, because if you think about it, Sedum heads are quite big and quite heavy as well. So this will benefit from a much bigger chop. Deep breaths, okay? It has taken many years of practice to do this, but I promise you, it is definitely worth doing. Again, this will probably sulk a little bit, but it will come back even better than before. Of course, the flowers will be slightly delayed. That doesn't matter. They will flower still, so do not worry about that. And hopefully I've caught that gap from getting any worse. And that's going to oof. There we go. Now there's another plant behind the Sedum, and this is a Persicaria red dragon. And last year it dominated this space and actually started to come over the Sedum. And there's nowhere that I can find where it states that you can actually give this a Chelsea chop, but I'm going to. And I'm probably going to sacrifice flowers off this one. It may not flower, but it's going to put it back in its box. And if I can just make it a little bit more compact, it will be much better, so it doesn't engulf this border too much. So I'm just going to just snip off some of these bits, and this is a test now that I'm going to do, and we're going to find out and see whether it works and pays off, because I don't want to move this plant. I absolutely love it here and it works really, really well. I love the contrast of this leaf to the sedum and the different colours of the leaf as well. And actually, I don't particularly want the white flowers. If they were red flowers, I might be a bit more cautious. But this is quite a good test to see how this works. Now, I have other persicarias in the garden, which I won't do this treatment to at all. I'm only going to do it to this one, purely as an experiment, really. And I have a feeling it might pay off. I'm going to go around the other side. And it will keep growing. Well, it did last year. And you can see it's flopping already into the sedum at the back here. And all I'm really doing is sort of cutting it back by a third. And we'll see how that performs now. Just chop that bit there. That looks better already. Sort of makes it a bit more compact. Right next to the persicaria is this Achillea. This is called Achillea terracotta, and it's got this most amazing marmalade orange flower head on it, and you can see we've got lots coming on it here. And again, I'm just going to chop this back by a third, and there's lots and lots that's going to happen in here, and I'm actually going to use the shears on this buried here because it's nice and simple. So we're going to go to about there. Again, this might sulk a little bit, but don't worry. Any flower heads that come to this level, I'm probably not going to take those back. And it'll give it a nice balanced out look as well. I'll just take out those. Oh, that looks great. And also, I've got a stake in here already, but by giving it that Chelsea chop, hopefully this won't flop quite as much. And you could probably take it lower if you wanted to. I don't tend to. I think that's probably enough. There we go. And again, I'm going to repeat the same process with this sedum as the other and the one behind here. Okay, stop. Okay, while I've got my shears in my hand, the other plant I'm going to show you is the Nepeta, and I've got some over here. Come and have a look at this. This Nepeta here is called Walker's Low, and it's sort of the baby version of the Six Hills Giant, which we have by the gazebo over there. This one's in a lot more shade, so it's not actually flowering yet, but that's okay. I can still knock it back a little bit, and also it's dropping onto the lawn. And again, I'm just going to give it the same treatment, and also because it's not flowering, I haven't got the bees on it, and because it's in the shade as well, there's not a great deal of activity. Now, the one by the gazebo, it is absolutely heaving with bees at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit tight until the sun goes down, and hopefully the bees will be less active on it, and then I can get in there and give the one the same treatment as this and give it a really good chop back, and hopefully keep some of the flower heads as well to go in a vase. Right, again, so much easier with shears. Just knock off the tops of those heads and they really will come back, and you can take them much lower. as well if you wanted to. And they will just come back. There's a few with flowers on there. It's makes very quick of the job when you have shears, I have to say. I can deadhead some of those peony heads as well while I'm at it. There we go. And it does actually make it look much tidier in the end. I might take that a bit lower. Much better. Oh, I don't want that. Take these back. There we go. Tidy, tidy, tidy. Much better. Oh, there we go. I might just deadhead this peony. It's not looking very good. Give that a quick snip. Great. Right. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope you can be quite brave when it comes to the Chelsea chop. It has taken many years, so don't worry if you're not brave enough this year. It doesn't matter. But do give it a go, even on just some plants, and experiment and see what works best for you. Right, I've got a bit of clearing up to do. I'll see you next time. Bye.